Alrighty, hey guys, what's up? So today we're going to be doing an oil change on a 2011 Mazda CX-9. The process for all vehicles is very similar, so you can still watch this video if you don't have this specific car. So a couple of the things you're going to need is the oil, of course. I'm using some Castrol GTX 520. This is conventional oil. You can use synthetic if you want to, but I change it out pretty frequently in this car at 3,000 miles. So you're going to need a quality oil filter wrench, so you can put it on these serrations right here and twist it off. If you don't have one of these, you can also get one of these tools, so you can put it on top, take your socket and spin it. You're going to need a funnel to put the oil back into the engine, some disposable gloves because oiled oil is a carcinogen and you don't want to get that on your skin, a waste oil container to take it to your recycling center or your local auto parts store, and a set of ramps to get your car up into the air. If you don't have ramps, you can also use some jack stands. So let's get this started. Once you get your car lifted up, chalk off the rear tires and apply the parking brake inside the car. And another optional thing is, if it's dirty on the ground or wet, like in this case, you can use a tarp to get under your car so you don't make a mess on your driveway. So once you come under the car, there's a lot of things over here and it's easy to get confused onto which thing to remove to let your oil out. So in my case, this is the drain plug. This is the one that we need to remove to get the oil out. But there's another drain bolt right here. But this is for the transmission. And a lot of times it's not going to be an Allen key, it's just going to be a regular bolt that you can get off with a socket. And another good way to tell is if you have your engine on the passenger side of the car, you can't remove the oil from the driver's side of the car. It has to be from the same side. So that's what we're going to do. So make sure you have your oil drain bucket down here, and we're going to remove it. And I'm going to be using a 15mm socket. And make sure you have to break that off. And there you go. All you have to do is just break that loose, and then you can start loosening it by hand. Let's give it another turn. There it goes. So now you can just keep loosening it by hand, and you don't want to touch it because as soon as you pull it out, oiled oil is all going to be spilling out and you don't want to make a mess. And make sure your oil pan is angled a little bit backward because it's going to come out like that. And there, I got it perfect. And give it a good 5 to 10 minutes to fully drain out. So this is your oil drain plug, and this is a little gasket in between the drain plug and the engine block. What you want to do every time is to take this out and replace it, but I don't have one this time, so I'm just going to reuse this one, and you can do that too. But you shouldn't reuse it over 2 or 3 times. Now, I typically wait until the oil starts to drip, and now it's appropriate to put the drain plug back in. So put your drain plug back in, and then just tighten it by hand until it goes all the way in. So once you can't tighten it any more than that, take your tool, and then keep tightening it. There is a torque specification for this car. I think it's like 33 foot-pounds. I normally don't use it, but just really tight is pretty good. So that's all for draining the old oil. You don't want to start the car right now because there's nothing to lubricate the engine and you can cause serious damage. So now we're going to remove the oil filter. In my car, it's right behind the oil drain plug. In some cars, it's actually on top of the engine. So you can go check that out on where the oil filter in your car is. So once it becomes a little loose enough, you can go ahead and do it by hand, and make sure you have your oil catch can under it because it is going to leak oil. This one has a lot of threads. And then once it comes out, just drop it. A critical step that you should follow is make sure that your gasket is not stuck onto the engine block, or else you could double gasket the system, and then as soon as you start the car, it's going to cause a huge oil leak. So make sure that your gasket comes off with your oil filter, and if it doesn't, just peel it off from the engine block. And then make sure you clean this mating surface up a little. So take your oil, shake it around a bit, open it up so you can get some oil on the cap. So with this oil, get your fingers wet, take your oil filter, and then just lubricate this seal, those threads too. So lubricating the O-ring makes it come off easier the next time, and it creates a better seal. So let's go ahead and put it on. So take your oil filter, get it onto those threads, and once you feel it lock in, you know it's on. So now it's stuck onto the threads, and I can just keep twisting it. And hand tightening these filters is good enough. You don't need to get them tight with any tools or anything. Just as far as your hand will go is good enough. So that's pretty good. So that's pretty much it for all the stuff down here. And just make sure you take a little cloth, clean up all the places your old oil got to, just clean that up. Put your prop up. So now you want to locate your oil filler cap. It'll usually have an oil logo on it and the viscosity listed on it. So on this car, it's right here. Just twist it off and take it out. On some cars, it could be up here or like on the back somewhere, but in this car, it's on the bottom. So take your funnel, put it into the engine, and in an effort not to overfill your car, my car takes 5.5 quarts. I'm gonna put 5 quarts in and start up the car first. So now that we've got the car on level ground and the engine has been started, we can check the level. So pull your dipstick, it's usually yellow. Wipe it clean. Do it a couple times, and then put it back into the engine. And take it back out. This dot over here means that oil is full, and we're only about halfway there, which means we're about half a quart low, which is to be expected since I only filled it with 5 quarts. So at the end of the bottle, you can see there's a, you can read the level of how much there is. And there's roughly about 1,000 milliliters in a quart. So we're gonna leave it at the 500 line. So we're gonna go over there. Now you don't want to overfill the engine. If you get a little over, that's fine, but if you're, say, like half a quart high, then you have to drain all the oil out again and then push it out. Drain all the oil out. So you see we're just under 3/4 of a quart. A little more. You see that much? We're just a little bit below half a quart. So now take your dipstick out, wipe it, stick it back into that hole. Take it out again. And as you can see, it's just below the full line. So we're gonna go ahead and start up the car, and this is your oil light. We're gonna make sure that light goes away once we start the car. And as you said, as you see, the oil pressure is where it should be, and the light did go away. And if your car has a maintenance reminder, so it says like change oil soon or something, you wanna reset that too. It's usually just pushing some buttons in a particular sequence. This car doesn't have that, and you can always search that up in your owner's manual. So now what we wanna do is get out of the car and come under and check for any leaks that may occur. And in my case, it's all good. So if you have anything, shut the car off immediately. Go and check your oil filter, make sure that's on right, and make sure you didn't double gasket it. And then make sure your oil drain plug is on tight. So go ahead and check both of those. So anyways, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.